Guards were 6 feet away, and I've been vaccinated, so together, we will move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Attorney Otis, if you would lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes, do I have a motion?
So moved.
I will second that. Discussion?
I think I sent Dana an email and asked her to just add Mark Kosher to the present. He was at the last meeting, so,
And I
That's
think
the
that
only
was
change.
corrected.
We'll get that fixed, yep.
thanks.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. I'm sorry, aye. Support? Oppose? 0. Motion passes 2-0. I forgot with Mr. Kosher not here, I'll have to be voting directly. Public comment. Do we have anybody from the public here via in-person or social media that would like to comment?
Nothing yet on social media. I'll keep an eye out.
Clerk Treasurer Parthun, claims approval.
Okay, we have payroll for March 19th, 2021, in the amount of $409,866.89.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
We have first quarter payroll for April 1st, 2021, which is Police and Fire Merit Commission members, in the amount of $1,926.88.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
And then we have April 2nd payroll in the amount of $422,419.91.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
We have civil city claims in the amount of $1,046,426.43, which includes police cars, equipping the police cars, bond issuance costs for the 2021 RDC remediation bond, and April trash service.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
We have sewage claims in the amount of $367,826.68.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
And then we have water claims in the amount of $167,585.28.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Do you want me just to keep going with my American Rescue Plan?
ARPA proposal.
Okay, so in front of you is a proposal for assistance with the American Rescue Plan Act. This contract, and we had City Attorney Nick Otis review, is actually billed based on actual time incurred. We will get detailed invoices showing who worked at Baker Tilly, who worked on what, and for how long. The contract is at a cap of $50,000, and I can't tell you what assistance they will be giving us right now because we're still waiting for guidance on the American Rescue Plan Act. So I'm just asking for approval of the engagement letter in front of you from Baker Tilly.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, discussion.
This is a standard agreement with, standard in the sense that it's a similar language that we see with all of our agreements with Baker Tilly, but it'll provide Courtney and the city with guidance on how to legally use the rescue plan funds.
As Mayor has rightfully pointed out, he has a lot more friends now that are interested in this pot of money we're getting, so we want to make sure we do it correctly. And Baker Tilly's been a good partner to the city, and particularly Courtney and Joni.
Well, and with Baker Tilly and their history with us, it is so worth every penny to pay them to help guide us with the ever-changing or additional rules that are in place. We want to make sure where we can use that money and make sure we're maximizing the options where we can use that money. So I think this is extremely important so
And
that we
also
use those
point, I mean,
dollars.
Obviously, it's up to $50,000, but, you know, just as an example, if you spent $25,000 or $50,000, that's likely good money or money well spent, because if the city used $1 million inappropriate, you know, on something that they weren't allowed to use it on, that'd be bad news. I think it's good insurance effectively to make sure we spend it correctly.
And the other part of that is Baker Tilly is partnering with many communities in the state. So, you know, we can partner there to make sure we want to include the public in the process. We want to make sure that we're maximizing all their history and experience with this type of situation, so.
Is it likely to be about 60 more days out to receive those funds?
Yes.
Because we're in Indiana. The state then has to distribute them. Do you have any, is there like ongoing communications? Do we have any idea on that, the dollar amount of that?
It's half of the full 11.7 million that we'll receive in about 60 days. And I think that was passed on March 22nd, I believe.
11th?
So, yeah, 60 days from the day the bill passed.
90 days if you're not within the, I think if you're not in the, what do they call it, entitlement communities. And I don't think we are, because we're under 50,000 population-wise, right?
We are an entitlement community.
We are?
Yes.
Okay, I understood that to be 50,000 population or more. Okay, good to know. So
But-
that'll be even sooner than I thought.
And the city council had the first reading for the ordinance to set up the fund for the American Rescue Plan last night.
Great.
The other good news is we don't have to spend this in a hurry. We can
No,
put
we've
it
got
in the
until
bank.
the end of 2024, so we need to take our time and plan and be very strategic about it, so to speak.
And we want to make sure that we're impacting lives in our community, but again, we want to do it right. So, and see where we can leverage these funds for other dollars to completely impact. And I would say to all the other nonprofits, governmental entities, you know, there's also these additional dollars that they'll be able to apply for housing, for different areas that they can also apply for. I think we also have to work with the county, who's receiving 21 million. The city of LaPorte is in the county. And so hopefully they see the opportunity to partner with us in some fashion and use some of those dollars here in the city of LaPorte, which I would expect them. That's an easy request. I would assume that they're saying, hey, we got to help the city of LaPorte as well. So I would assume we're going to see some of those dollars from the county. I would expect that. And so we'll look forward to that option as well. So any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
And if I may add, the clerk treasurer department is on it as they're preparing for this, so thank you both. Department reports for a brief update of everything that's happening. We'll begin with Jen Knoll, Human Resources.
Good morning. Just a couple of updates. We've got open positions posted on the city's website as well as Indeed. So we're still looking to hire a few positions. Parks Department has a lot of seasonal openings right now. So looking for qualified applicants. Feel free to visit cityoflaporte.com or indeed.com for those positions.
Are we receiving applications?
Yes,
So people are applying?
people are applying, yes.
Okay.
Jen, the seasonal positions, are those like good positions for high school and college kids?
Yeah, there's there's concessions positions, there's positions for coaching, things like that. So, yeah, camp supervisors. Thank you.
Jeff Batchelor, Code Enforcement.
Morning.
Morning.
Just to kind of follow up with the dumpster program we started a couple weeks ago. We got off to a real slow start. People were abusing it. Since then.
I'd call that a fast start.
Well, yes and no. But after that, they've been respectful, they're doing what they're supposed to do. I want to really thank the water department and the street department both for helping out, keep the place going and that stuff, because that first weekend was horrible out there with all the dumping. They took 3 dumpsters that day plus 3 tandem dump trucks. That's how much stuff was taken out of there. So that's just that. We've had about 1,200 violations that we did up to this point so far this year. And then this week, starting tomorrow, one of my goals was that we're gonna walk a neighborhood. So we're picking over by Kingsport Ave and Kingsport Lane over in that area. We're gonna walk that whole area for violations.
And that's a struggle. Kingsport Avenue needs some work on the housing. People shouldn't be living in, we talk about 701 Maple, there's some homes there. People should not be living in those type of conditions in rentals as well, so.
Correct.
And also, great job on Spectrum Recycling. It looks like since your meeting and standard that you've set, all of the recycling is below the fence, so thanks to them as well for meeting the ordinance that's been set for years.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, do you have any sense of the amount of violations you've written, like rental properties versus private owners?
No, I mean, we don't pay, like, 'cause one thing I don't wanna know, and I told Dan and Phil everything, I don't wanna know if it's a regular person or it's, or a landlord, because I don't wanna get people saying we're picking on landlords or picking on anybody in particular.
Yep.
So, I mean, we just go, and if it needs it, it needs it.
That's good philosophy. I like that. I appreciate that.
Jess Bruder, Communications.
I don't have much to report this morning. I'm gonna have a contract that we'll go over in a little bit, but I just wanted to remind everybody that we do still have Take 5 going on, in partnership with the Parks Department. So people are encouraged to, go out, clean up maybe 5 minutes in our parks. If they email a picture of their work to Roberta, her email address is on our Facebook post. They can get a free City of LaPorte t-shirt. And then we are encouraging people, if you do participate, if you could take a picture of yourself in your shirt and post it with the hashtag Take5, just to kind of help spread the word. This is only going on through the end of April 30th. We, of course, encourage people to continue cleaning up. We love that. But the program will run through April 30th, so there's still time to participate. That's all I have.
Thank you. Tom Casey, Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. We've recently filled the assistant planner position. David Heinold will start on May 10th. So that's a good thing to have completed.
He is an urban planner.
He is a certified planner, degree from Ball State, going to be very helpful. I'll look forward to working with him and adding him to the team. So, secondly, the sign ordinance passed last night at the City Council, so I'll be working with Jeff over the next 2 weeks to start enforcing the sign ordinance amendments that were made, mainly on the temporary signage. So we're going to try to eliminate as much of that as we can. Let's see, what else?
The train.
The quiet zone, so that contract was entered into. Those funds, it's not city funds that we're using to pay for that contract. It's a combination.
Could you share what the quiet zone is?
Yes, the quiet zone is an engineering study that'll be done for the city of LaPorte that'll look at all the crossings, railroad crossings that we have, and determine how we can get to a quiet zone. So there's certain levels of crossings, safety of the crossing that needs to be met from an engineering standpoint. So that's an analysis of all of our crossings, including the ones that we're going to be eliminating with some changes down the road. We'll be down to actually 5, so that's going to be, the timing is good that we're able to show a plan for the future, that certain crossings will be eliminated. We'll be investigating 5 of these and doing an analysis on what the railroad is saying we're going to need in order to meet a quiet zone status. So that's being done by Patrick Engineering. It's being paid for by a combination of the UEA funds through a grant and also Northwest Hospital.
That is something that's very important, and we have a great working relationship with Norfolk Southern, so we look forward to that happening sooner than later. As well, one other item I would like to bring up, because the public and Jeff Batchelor has told us many times, and this is my responsibility, not yours, not code enforcement, but the old Don George building has gone from a small hole in the roof to a crater. The public has made us aware, made me aware of that. I understand that. I get that. And Jeff Batchelor has made us aware that, hey, we need to do something with that. You're working on that. It happened overnight. It's my responsibility, and I take ownership of that, hey, if we're going to ask everybody else to follow code enforcement, we need to do so as well. So
Yeah,
you're in
so
the process for me of dealing with that, and we will have it resolved sooner than later. But I am responsible, nobody else is, so we will get that taken care of.
We will be getting that taken care of right away. So we're getting appraisals on the property to be able to offer it in a public sale. The reason for the delay on having a plan for that site is that we may want to incorporate some public access in a portion of it. So we want to plan in advance of selling the property so that we can incorporate that into the sale. So that was the most important thing, and that's being completed now, so we're ready to move on it and look forward to improvements to that site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
We're improving that so we're going to repair and improve the roof of the building?
No, we're not. We're gonna be selling that building and then that property. What we wanna do is, when I was referring to the public component, we wanna complete a conceptual plan that should the Weller Bridge be opened up and small watercraft are able to come into Lily Lake, we have a place for them to come in, and it's possibly associated with a boardwalk that would connect to the Chessie. So if someone wanted to stop on their bike on the other side of Lily Lake, they can walk across and access that public portion, as well as if there's a restaurant, let's say, or a pub in that area, whatever the future use is, there's access from the Chessie, from the other side of Lily Lake. So that's what we want to plan for and incorporate in the sale as part of the request for proposal.
And we also wanted a comp comparison at the
Yeah,
Spore
the
property that was just sold, so we can have an idea of what Pine Lake
Yeah,
Avenue would draw.
Yeah, we were kind of waiting. We knew that the Spore site was under contract, and that was going to be a very, very good comparable sale for this property. So that has closed, and that comp will be reflected hopefully be reflected in the appraisals that we get.
It's a premium piece of land, so.
It is. Is there a lot of environmental remediation though that's gonna have to take place?
There is environmental remediation that's going to have to take place, so we'll incorporate that also into the sale.
Okay.
But the city is not in a position at this point to clean it up or to replace the roof. The deck is completely gone on the building.
Thanks, Tom.
Sure, thank you.
Tim Werner, Water.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning to the board. The water department's just been plugging away on our normal projects that we do every year. One of the things that been kind of slowing us down is the locating for the fiber project. That's it eats up a lot of man hours. I'll be excited once we get an inspector on site. Other than that, the guys are just getting ready for valve replacement projects and projects that we're going to be doing in-house on the infrastructure this year. We did get all of our vehicles decaled with new city logos, so if you see the water department trucks out there, they're looking nice. Other than that, we're waiting on engineering to get back with us on some specs for our new war wagon. So we'll be purchasing that soon to help the guys complete their work and help us to work safe. That's all I have this morning. Thank you.
Mike Frey, Streets.
Yeah, we're back out total patching, and we're street sweeping, and hot mix starts Thursday, and we start cutting trees tomorrow.
Beth West, Transport.
Morning. Transport is doing well. March was probably our highest number we've had in ridership since COVID. We were averaging 129 riders per day, which is a lot higher than it was last year at this time. We started Saturdays this past Saturday. the ridership was a little low, but everybody's excited that we're running Saturdays again. So we've been telling everybody to spread the word to get out and start moving around the city on Saturdays. We've been working with the Southeast Trans and Well Trans. They're third-party companies that will need ridership for their individuals needing dialysis. I'm working with HR on the Southeast Trans because they're needing some personal information on our drivers. Wells Trans I talked to last week. They should be sending us a check to be purchasing some passes for about 30 riders. We're going to start slow and see how it goes and continue on from there. Also working with our NERC and doing the biannual that's due this year. It's about a 70-page report that they need typed by the end of May, and then they'll do an on-site evaluation come about the middle of the summer. And that's it.
Chief Breton, Police.
Good morning. Our new canine officer started this morning or actually yesterday morning in Berrien Springs, training with his new partner, Kendi. Also want to give a shout out to Tasco Materials Concrete in Westville, donated the concrete for the pad. Corporal Dragmeister and I put that down a week ago Monday. So he set his kennel on that. Our street crimes unit continues to produce. And in fact, as promised, we're now partnering with Dion Campbell of Michigan City. They've spent a couple shifts over there. They're going to return the favor to us as well. But that's all part of our partnership. I'm glad to see that happening. Other than that, our generator's moving along. It's been back ordered. All the prep work is done. Mike's going to come fix our parking lot once the hot mix gets made here later in the week. And the cars, new cars that you voted to pay on a little bit ago, 5 are on the street, 5 yet to be done. That's all I have.
The cars do look good out there. They're missing a little orange stripe, but besides that, they look great.
I was thinking that was great about them. Also, we were going to do swearing today, but the state has drug their feet on getting us the paperwork, so I'll let you know when we're ready to swear the new officer in, hopefully this week. And we can still get together with the mayor and perhaps the board can come out and we'll do it either at the station or back at City Hall.
Jerry Jackson, Sewer.
Excuse me. We're clearing the blockage in the Weller Channel this morning. So Weller Avenue is closed. Sadowski brothers are down there with their big backhoe, and they'll clear the debris out of there and haul it away. Hopefully that'll go well. We're digging underwater, or you can't see, so there's some uncertainty with that. And as to reiterate, we're doing that because the lake drain water flows from Pine and Stone over to Lily and then out the drain, and so that blockage has prevented lake level control. They should have that project done by the end of the day. That's what we're guessing, and we'll open Weller Avenue back up. Our lakeside sewer relocation project is ongoing. They're making good progress, getting houses hooked up to grinder pumps. They got the piece on Robert Street completed. That's all done, and the piece on Craven Lakeshore Drive is completed. And lastly, our digester mixing project is going well. They're about 75% complete. I'm looking forward to get that digester back started up.
Sarah Nimitz, Engineering.
Hi, I have a request to bid for the Monroe Manor Sewer Separation Project. Jerry has a schedule on that. I think that might come later in the meeting. The state is also requesting Board of Works to consider extending Ruth Riley's work hours for the paving and signal project on Lincoln Way. And then we're also working on a proposed proposal for oversight services by USI for the surf broadband work. And I think those, all three will need board approval coming up later in the meeting. That's about all I have right now. I'm working on 50/50 sidewalk measuring this week and some tree stuff, always tree stuff. That's about it for me.
How about free trees? Is that coming up soon?
Free Trees is coming up for the Arbor Day celebration. I'm sure everybody saw the posts the last week of April. In Park, we're giving away, I think we got 400 trees from the DNR Forestry Nursery, and we'll be giving those away until we run out at Kessling Park.
Mark Schreiber, Parks.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Just want to announce to the public that our restrooms will be opening on April 15th. That'll be park system wide. Also, we did get the new posts, and that's up at our tennis courts in Kessling Park, Rumley Park, and the newly constructed tennis court in Alasey Park. We still have some finishing touches to do this spring yet, but the courts are open and available for play. And we did announce last week that Foodie Tuesdays will be returning this year. We'll be doing 15 Tuesday lunches from 10:30 to 2:30 at Unity Park. That begins May 25th. And then this year we also added 3 evening hours from 4 to 7. That'll be on the first Tuesdays of June, July, and August. So we'll be announcing all the vendors that'll be coming out over the next month or so. So we look forward to seeing everybody again this summer.
Bert Cook, LEAP.
Yeah, good morning to the Board of Public Works. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the Porte Economic Advancement Partnership. We are in the midst of 6 weeks of ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings, and I want to mention 2 of those very quickly. So end of last week, we were able to celebrate with Surf Broadband Solutions, who has as many at the meeting this morning have mentioned, has a major infrastructure project running fiber throughout our community. They were very pleased to announce that they've already invested close to $5 million in new infrastructure and have just recently decided to invest another $5 million to bring that fiber infrastructure north to the northern part of the city as well. So we were able to celebrate with them. It's going to be some great resources for both businesses and residents alike. And if you're looking for better telecommunication services, I would strongly suggest you take a look at Surf Broadband Solutions. In addition to that, we'd like to invite the Board of Public Works to a ribbon cutting tomorrow, April 7th at 4 p.m., 125 East Shore Parkway, where we will celebrate with Jerry Fedorchak and Jim Magnuson on the Infinite Development Project. They have completed their first professional office building, and we'll cut a ribbon on that project, and we'll look forward to the continued construction on that site as we get into the summer. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you, and appreciate the ability to give a quick update.
You must have cut out when you mentioned gig. We're on our way to becoming a gig city. So I'll add that.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, if you are a department head that does not have business before the board, go enjoy your day. We'll move to new business with request for use of city property. We have in front of us April Kelly, Zumba class. They just wanted to use the plaza for 618, or at 618 Lincoln Way. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that. Discussion. April gets a nice crowd from May through September to join, so we appreciate April doing that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Nick Otis Pledge Agreement.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a pledge agreement between the City of LaPorte, the Redevelopment Commission, and the LaPorte Urban Enterprise Association. And just a little background, obviously we all are aware that we have a new hospital. Part of the development of that was an agreement between the Urban Enterprise Association and the hospital for certain tax credits. So for 10 years, they get a complete tax abatement, but they have to pay, they being the hospital, has to pay 35% of those credits to the Urban Enterprise Association. So 35% of what they'd actually pay in taxes will go to the UEA. The UEA, pursuant to this pledge agreement, is going to pledge those funds to the city and the redevelopment commission to pay down the 2021 bonds.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that. Discussion?
What's the term of the bonds? It says Series 2021. How long are those bonds for?
That,
I believe they're 20 years? 20 years?
Yep.
20 years? Okay. So we reap the benefits for a 10-year period?
that's the length of the tax credit, so beyond that, I believe we would just be receiving those tax payments. And if Bert wants to comment, Mr. Cook does
Bert Cook.
on this as well.
Yeah, Nick, you are correct. So I just want to stress one thing, that the actual incentive is the investment deduction through the urban enterprise zone. So as Nick said, for the first 10 years, the 35% fee will be paid to the urban enterprise zone, who's pledging that back to the redevelopment commission. But as that incentive retires itself, those dollars will then, the full amount, the full tax, will go directly to the redevelopment commission as it's in an allocation area. So that's how it will work.
What about the 50% of the remaining amount of the hospital payments will go to the commission? Isn't that an addition? There's two different parts. There's,
That's based on any additional dollars beyond the bond payment will be split between the redevelopment commission and the UEA, correct?
Yes.
That is correct, Mayor. Whatever, because we at the time of signing this, we can't determine exactly where that assessed value will come in at. The agreement states that if those any dollars over and above the debt service will be split 50-50 between the Urban Enterprise Association and the Redevelopment Commission, which work hand in hand as they're both spending dollars within the same sort of area on projects. So the dollars that the Redevelopment Commission will take in will be spent in the Urban Enterprise Zone.
Further questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0. Jess Bruder, Three Lakes website contract.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you is on the web agreement with Three Lakes Marketing. They are the same firm that has been doing our branding for the last several months. They've been doing a pretty incredible job for us, and they're giving us one heck of a deal. So there's a couple of things I just want to point out in the agreement. First of all, it is a custom site that they're building for us. They're not building it off of a template, so they're building it to fit exactly all of our needs and exactly how we need it to be, to try to create, a more user-friendly site for both the city administrators who need to get on it, and as well as residents who need to get on it to pay bills and find what they need to find. They're doing this at the cost of $5,000. They're building the site for $5,000. I think most people in the industry would agree that that's a pretty great deal. I will be porting content over from the existing site to the new site to kind of help save money. And then they will also be doing a video tutorial for every user, which is something that our current vendor does not have for us. So this should make it easier so that everybody can get on board and get familiar with the site and how it works as quickly as possible. The other thing I want to highlight on the back in section 7 is that the quarterly web hosting is going to be $3,800. That is the hosting and security for 2 websites. That is the Live in the Lake Life site and the new City of LaPorte site. Our current, just to give you an idea, our current website vendor charges us $8,000 to host one website for 1 year. We're getting 2 for the price of $3,800, so that's a pretty awesome deal as well.
Is it 3,800 or 4,800?
Oh,
4,800. 4,800.
4,800, sorry,
Okay.
I must have an old version. But yeah, 4,800.
I like 3,800.
I know, me too, but 4,800 is still pretty good considering that's 2
It is.
sites, not 1.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I will second that. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Jerry Jackson.
First item I've got is a wastewater discharge permit for Howmet. They have been, they're a very environmentally conscious company. They are very careful with the wastewater they discharge. Have no issues with them at all. Would recommend that the Board of Works, renew their discharge permit.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I will second that. Discussion? Jerry, have they ever had an issue? Because I just don't recall where they just have done a fantastic job with dealing with their wastewater.
I cannot remember an issue, and of course, my history with them goes back 30 years. So, yeah, they've always, paid attention. They've always had good personnel doing their environmental work. Hard to think of a better, model industry.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Right, I've got pay request number 2 for our digester project, E.J. White's, replacing the mixing system and some of the piping. The pay request is in the amount of $21,012.50. That takes the project to about 75% complete. E.J. White's doing a good job. I was down in they had discovered a cracked 8-inch T that on one of the sludge lines and a problem with a pipe support. I was down in the tank on Friday and looked at that. I'll present a proposed change order to the board for those. They're not major, but they need to be fixed while we got the tank empty. So anyways, I recommend approval of the pay request number 2 for E.J. White in the amount of $21,012.50.
I'll make a motion to approve the pay request.
Second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
I don't know if I've got the most current agenda. Am I on the agenda to
Yes.
talk about Monroe Manor?
No, NIPSCO agreement, and then we'll discuss the Monroe Manor after that.
Okay. And I don't have, I don't have the NIPSCO agreement in front of me. This would be the contract to allow NIPSCO to run power to our Truesdale lift station that will serve the Flaherty and Collins project, the apartments. It's important to keep that moving because we got to get the sewer service there by the end of the month, and we need power to operate the lift station and provide sewer service. So I recommend approval of the NIPSCO contract to extend power to our Truesdale lift station.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Jerry, if we approve today, will NIPSCO meet that deadline?
They're planning on it. They even got poles out there now. So we lucked out because the engineer, NIPSCO's engineer, ordered the transformer we need as soon as the project came about, and he said he got the last transformer that's due to be delivered for 3 months because there's such a back order. So he did us a real solid there. We got lucky.
Great. Further question? All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. And Jerry, I'm going to go ahead and move the request to bid Monroe sewer separation project off of Nick. If okay with you, we'll take that through you.
Okay, I'm not hearing you real well. Are you ready for that now?
If we want to, yes. If you'll take that.
Yep. I want to request permission to solicit bids for the Monroe Manor sewer separation project. We did about half the neighborhood in 2016. This would finish the job. The project rebuilds sewers, water mains, roads, sidewalks. If you get a chance, drive through the neighborhood, compare the old to new, it's really dramatic. The estimated cost of the project is $3 million. The funds would come from our construction budget, or construction bonds we issued late last year. And the bid will be formatted, so that there's some uncertainty with pricing and contractor work with COVID and everything, and the economy's cranking up. So the bids will be formatted, in phases in this piece of job so that we can build as much as we can afford. And the board will have that decision when those bids come in. The work would take place this summer. It's a big project. Potentially the completion might take till next spring 2022. Schedule would be, we'd advertise, here in April, bid opening on the 30th of April. And the bids would be in front of the Board of Works on the May 4th for award. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
So moved.
I will second that. Further discussion, Jerry, this is a popular item in the city of LaPorte, so we're excited to know that Monroe Manor, the other half, will be completed.
I love when a sewer separation project is popular. That rarely happens.
Well, I hate always mentioning wherever I might be of other sewer separation projects, and the first question always is, what about Monroe Manor? So it'll be nice to say they'll actually see shovels in the ground and work being done. Further.
And it makes sense to build structure while, replacing infrastructure in the roads while you're doing this work. So, and of course, that's very popular.
You may be mayor of Monroe Manor, Jerry, after you get this completed. So, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0. Thank you, Jerry. Jen Knoll?
Good morning. Can you remind me what I have first on the agenda?
It's the,
Pharmacy service agreement?
Okay. So we have a current contract with TrueScripts. This is our pharmacy services agreement through Porte, our shared employer clinic. So these are the prescriptions that run through Phil's Pharmacy. TrueScripts is the pharmacy benefit manager for that program. So our current contract has no pass-through rebates with a current administration fee of $3.25 per claim. And then this updated contract would allow us to capture pass-through rebates. It does increase the administration fee to $6.25 per claim. However, we would estimate that the rebates that we would get based on last year's numbers from the pharmacy to be $62,128. So less the admin fee that we would have paid for 2020, annualized would have been $30,306. We would still be ahead by $31,000 by moving to this program.
wow, no brainer.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion. And I just would like to say, as you talk about applications being needed to fill positions, we do have a great benefits program, health program, and thank you for that. And I think people that are considering working for the city should consider our benefits program because it is top-notch. So, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0.
Thank you. And next, we have an update to the communicable disease policy. So in keeping in line with the county's requirement, the city is still mandating masks as well for internal employees, as well as daily temperature checks. One thing we want to update is omitting the travel policy. So currently, the city requires a negative test result if you travel out of state for more than 24 hours. We would like to remove that and allow, employees and their families to travel without having to report a negative test result back to HR. So that is one of the updates. The other one is in the areas highlighted in the policy, I've added the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So the exemption from the quarantine and isolation requirements would be 14 days after that shot is given, since it does not have 2 doses. And then employees who are symptomatic and vaccinated if they're potentially exposed to COVID-19, they should report symptoms to HR and/or their supervisor and get a COVID test. And then remain off work until a negative test result is submitted to HR or a physician's note is submitted allowing returning to work. And that's only if they are symptomatic.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I will second that. So a quick question, if you're vaccinated and have symptoms, you still have to have a test?
Yeah, and I took that directly from CDC guidelines.
And this is in place through January of 2022, or how long does this stay in place?
Indefinitely, I would say until we update it again.
Okay.
Next Board of Works.
So assuming that everybody continues to get a vaccine annually, is that the?
Probably, yeah. And we'll update that language accordingly, as we follow, how the process is moving nationwide.
I'm not sure personally, I agree that if you're vaccinated, you have to get a negative test. But again, we're following the science, the medicine, and so I should have kept my personal feelings aside, but it's the right thing to do. So further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Breton.
I guess before you have a couple documents. One is the lease agreement. That's just a formality. Lease has already been paid on the vehicles for the year. It was just Matt Magnuson pulled some in and replaced them.
Motion to,
Should be correct, right?
motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Chief, so I just want to make sure I understand. You've got 3 adds, 2 drops, but it's not costing us any more for an additional vehicle?
That's correct. That's been paid. It's all the same. It's the exact same. What happened is we purchased a couple of those cars at the end of last year that were previously leased. So that's the addition. There's one more coming, but I haven't picked that up yet. That just updates our list that we gave. Was it last month? We gave a list of all the VIN numbers. That just updates it.
So Chief, I guess my question is, in simple math, are we getting a vehicle for free? Because we're still getting,
It's just the same lease. It's replacing.
I think though the question is that because there were 2 removed from the prior lease, there are now 3 on the current lease for the same dollars. So we're trying to understand how we're getting 3 vehicles for the same lease price that we once paid for 2.
Right, there was, when the lease was written again, it renewed this year, and there was an extra car put in. That was done, previous to me, actually. It was the next lease. It was the same money, he added a car. Basically, what we did is we added one to the drug unit.
but again,
We're getting a better deal.
we're getting a vehicle for free in essence.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Or we were overpaying before.
Still pretty cheap what we paid.
May I ask Clerk Treasurer Parthune or Assistant?
We have a certain amount of cars that we pay for to lease. So the amount of cars, last year there was an additional car added. We paid that total amount for I would have to look up however many cars there are. We paid that dollar amount. LaPorte Chrysler is simply, we're getting a new vehicle for that same lease.
So we were overpaying before that. But
I'm not wrapping my head around it either.
We have a lease for 11 cars.
Okay.
We bought 2 outright from LaPorte Chrysler at the end of last year's. So 2 of these are replacing those 2. Plus we're getting 2 new ones that he's replacing. Right now there's 3. We're waiting for the 4th one. So it all balances out.
So we're still leasing 11 vehicles?
Yes.
Okay, we
We
purchased 2
paid
of
for the same amount of
Okay.
leases that we already had.
Okay.
We're just waiting for one more.
Makes sense?
Now it does, yes. We're leasing the same number of vehicles.
Further discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
The other item you have is, I believe you should have the retirement letter of Corporal Carl Jackson, 30 years. He's been kicking this around for the last year. His last day will be April 17th. Just over 30 years with the city. He's done our community policing. Man truly loves the city and loved his time that he served here. So I'm asking that you accept his retirement letter and then permission to hire for his position.
Do I have a
Also, along with that, of course, would be promotion to corporal once he is vacated his spot.
motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that. Chief, do you mind, because again, it's not the standard resignation, retirement letter, and it just shows to the heart and the kind soul that Carl Jackson is, and after 30 years, do you mind reading the letter for the public?
I don't have it exactly. Oh, I guess I do have it in front of me. Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Absolutely.
It says, Dear Chief Paul Breton, I'm writing to let you know that I'm retiring from the Porte City Police Department, and my last day of work will be Friday, April 17th, which actually will be Saturday, April 17th, 2021. I feel you're doing an outstanding job as police chief. Unfortunately, with me having 30 years plus on and a few months, I feel I'm in the need to retire and will not have the privilege to work alongside you much longer. Keep up the good work. I believe we have a good group of young officers and veteran officers within the LaPorte Police Department that have the best interests of the city of LaPorte. I am confident in the group of officers we have on board. I would like to thank all present and past civilian personnel I've worked with over the years. I want to thank past mayors and current Mayor Tom Dermody, all past and current city council members, 911, EMS, LaPorte Fire Department, LaPorte Sheriff Department, LaPorte Street Department, especially Mike Fraze, who I have worked hand in hand with during several special events, and he had always been there for me. I would like to thank LaPorte Water Department. I also like to thank all the members of the community that have been dear friends to me. It's been an awesome 30 years. As I exit this career and ponder pros and cons, struggles, differences with different people, being in different situations in my career, and with all the different personalities within my job, I can honestly say that I am retiring without any bitterness or resentment towards anyone. It's all been good. Thank you all a lot. Everyone stay safe. God bless you and your families. And always remember to try to enjoy each day the Lord has given. Everything is just temporary and will pass. Thank you so much, Corporal Carl Jackson, dated Friday, April 2nd, 2021.
It just was a kind letter, and it just reflects the type of person that Carl is, and we were fortunate to have him as a part of our team here at the City of LaPorte for 30 years, and would also like to encourage if we can add him maybe to the agenda for the next city council meeting, to have him come here just to acknowledge him as well. But what a great soul. With that, I do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. We wish Carl well in his future endeavors. And again, Chief, does that mean we'll be adding someone, hiring, or you have that hire happening?
We will be adding somebody to hire for him, plus the promotion to corporal, since he'll be vacating the corporal position. And we'll do that as soon as we possibly can.
Great. Thank you. Beth West.
Thank you. In front of you should have two documents, both being signatures of the mayor and the clerk treasurer. The first one is an amendment to our grant 5307 through NERC. It is numbered IN 2018-016. The dates were modified. It was originally supposed to end in June. It's now been pushed back to September. This is due to the funding that we got on the CARES Act last year. A lot of our operational costs were paid through that at 100%. The grant, the 5307 grant actually is a 50/50 match. So they updated the date so we could have a little bit more time to finish using that grant up. And I'll need signatures on both of those.
Motion to approve.
Other one,
Well,
do you need to do them separately?
yes,
or do you
well,
wanna do them
let's,
together?
let's do them separately. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, Member Romine.
Beth, should the date be June 30, 2021 to September 30, 2021? Or it really is June 30, 2020?
On Amendment 1, I think the project period.
The first one should just be a single sheet, and I believe it was dated out to September 30th of 2021.
Okay, I think you just need to change it to 2021. It says 2020 on the copies that we have.
No,
So June 30th,
no,
it says
I
it began
don't think
June
it-
30th,
I think it's-
2020.
I think it, because it's carrying over from CARES Act dollars, so I think the 2020 is correct. It's just extending, this came from NERC, it's a
Okay.
federal grant, so I'm sure
Oh,
the
okay.
2020 is correct.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
The second one is this year's grant, the IN 2019-030-06, should be 3 to 4 pages long. That's our cut this year, and the 5307 grant should be $265,000. We need signatures on that one also to be able to start pulling money from that. We do that through our quarterly reports, so we need to have that signed and dated so we can start pulling funds for this year's.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion? All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes 2-0. Thank you, Beth. Tom Casey.
Thanks, Mayor. Two quick items. The first one is waiver of a registration fee for a mobile vending permit. This is for Norma, and I apologize if I mispronounce her name.
Mulzone.
Mulzone. Norma Mulzone is having a cruise night on June 5th. She currently has food vendors that she charges fees to provide food for that cruise night, that one night. All of that money goes to nonprofits in the city of LaPorte. And she's asked that the regular registration fee, which goes through the clerk treasurer's office, be waived. So that's the first item.
And this will be going to the PAC Center, so do I have a motion to?
Yes, PAC Center, sorry.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion?
How
I wanna-
much is the fee normally?
I just asked Joni that. I'm not.
It's, we just increased it. It's $50 for the week. I think there's a daily fee of $10, so it's not too hefty. I think Norma's gonna be charging between $50 and $75 per vendor with all that money going to the PAC Center. So we thought it would be appropriate since it's a one-night event.
And thank you to the clerk treasurer's office for allowing that to happen and go to a good cause.
Thank you to the Board of Works.
Should we have, I think we should have something in writing, though, a
Yeah, we
letter.
just need a motion to approve. We'll put it in it'll be part of the record, yeah.
So we'll have record, someone looks back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
We do have, or do we have a motion?
Yes.
And a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Okay, the second item is a landscape architectural agreement for services not to exceed $6,000. This is an annual contract that we enter into every year for review of various sites. So if a new company moves into Newport Landing, we have Arcos review the landscape plan so that we know that it meets all of the criteria and expectations that we have for the site. And that's basically it. It's a contract for professional services for landscape architectural consulting.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that. Discussion? Tom, so this is, say we get a new client in Newport Landing, And Arcos will go out and approve the landscape design of the building?
Yeah, so we have design standards, like a separate set of design standards for Newport Landing. They'll apply those standards to the drawing that we receive from the prospective owner or tenant, whoever's building the building. And they make sure that everything meets those requirements. So the right size caliper tree, the right species of trees, spacing. It's something that, from a staff standpoint, we can't cover every day. So that's why we use that. And we will, it's unlikely that we'll exceed or even reach the $6,000 amount. We just don't know the volume, so we have to have that in there, so we have some flexibility.
But it's only for new projects,
New projects.
so they don't come out annually and check on current clients or?
No checking on current clients. The follow-up on installation would be done by the planning department, so that would be my responsibility, but I would have Arcos's recommendations and list of what to look for.
And these dollars come out of
Professional services,
out of your fund?
out of my budget. Let's see.
Could they not come out of the RDC? I don't know if you
Yeah,
can.
that's, I was just wondering that myself.
Yeah, I don't know, in the past, it's come out of professional services in the city budget.
I'm not sure why we wouldn't take these out of the RDC.
Well, not all of the projects are RDC related, so some might be a non-TIF project.
Okay.
But I would say whatever portion
Yeah,
is
if
with the TIF,
that would be much easier if I have the ability to do, to pull from both the RDC and the regular city fund. That would be helpful.
so
So would it be asking for a reimbursement from RDC after the fact? No, because this contract has to be signed now and then payment would happen later.
I think what I could do is have a separate
Everyone's looking at
contract.
Nick.
Well, again, I think Mr. Casey's right. I don't think that the RDC can pay for things outside of, out of the TIFs. So, but I don't see an issue with the RDC paying for projects within the TIF, right? That's what you're indicating.
I don't either, and I don't think the board would have any issue with that. We may just have to have a separate contract for those items that are within the TIF districts.
Because RDC should approve that, not vote on it.
Right.
So does that mean we approve as is and
Yeah.
then make an addendum at some point
Right.
and work with
Or there
the,
could just be a motion at the RDC meeting, I think,
Yeah.
approving payment to
of
the
any
city.
work?
Or, you know, it'd just be a transfer of funds, right, from an RDC.
We just pay it from their appropriation.
Yeah, I mean, RDC would just have to approve that contract as well, and then depending on where the project is, we can pay from that specific appropriation.
But I can't imagine that there's many projects like this
Did she say does or does not?
Does not, I don't.
Does not,
fall within a TIF. I mean, I'm just thinking of.
Is that for
the things that
Newport
happen.
Landing design standards?
It's TIF 1, TIF 2.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is where most of it happens in Newport Landing, correct?
Correct.
So that would be within the
Yeah,
TIF.
yeah.
Mr. Cook, any thoughts?
Yeah, Mayor, you're correct. I think that it would fall entirely in that allocation area. So I think that's correct. And I agree with Tom Casey. I would think the redevelopment commission would be very supportive of this type of use.
And I guess,
So for instance, we have one now on a Ford dealership. Actually, Arcos won't be reviewing that, but let's say it's outside of the TIF, the RDC would not pay
Yeah.
for that.
you
So if
pay
we have-
that out of your
let's say we have a
professional services.
Like, let's say we have a site review for a gas station on Monroe Street. That's not in a TIF. It would
Can
have
we
to-
not use that?
No,
I'm
well,
teasing.
I'm just,
I'm teasing.
any, Beechwood Lakes, for instance.
Yes.
If there was a landscaping plan there that needed to be reviewed, it would come out of the city fund. So, whatever the most efficient way is to enter into the contract, if it can be a dual contract adopted by the RDC as well, so that the funds can be pulled out of there depending on where the project is, that'd probably be the most logical way to do it.
I think the city can approve it and then just seek a reimbursement from the RDC or present it to the RDC. There just has to be approval by the RDC to
Yeah.
pay it.
The problem with reimbursements, because we're state, the only thing that can be put back into an appropriation is an insurance reimbursement. So if they're reimbursing us, it just goes back into the fund, it doesn't go back into his
appropriate.
Well, they could pay it directly though, correct?
They can
Artie?
pay it
Yeah.
directly, yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
So that might be, and we just would adjust
right.
an agreement.
We're not paying them until they do work, right?
Right.
This isn't agreeing to pay anything right now. It's
Correct.
right.
So the RDC could also have a standing
Correct.
agreement
RDC should
with
approve as well.
Arcos, and then whoever's doing the work for who
Yep.
will pay that portion. That way you save some money in professional services. I guess, so this is an approval before work is being done on site. Landscape
Correct.
work
Like
is,
a site review, a plan review of building drawings that detail the landscaping plan so that we so that we have a professional architect review it and tell us everything meets the standard.
so say they approve it, the building goes in, the landscape happens, and it's not what they said they were supposed to do. Who follows up with that to say, hey, you didn't do this or you didn't do that?
I would be the one to follow up on the installation to make sure that it's done according to what's in the drawings and what Arcos has approved. So there'll be revisions to the drawing based on the Arcos recommendation. Final drawing goes in, the final drawing's measured against what's installed on the property, and we want to make sure that the sizes are correct and the species are correct.
And I'm not sure you have that, or I have that capability, and I would just consider, if necessary, to make sure people are doing that, you might consider using Arcos, especially in that important area, Newport Landing, and if we can use the RDC, not suggesting that a business would, have one thing approved and do another. We just want to make sure that they're meeting that standard. It has to be perfect. That's an area that has to be perfect in Newport Landing. So I would consider that for the future, after installed, and I know I'm being petty
Yeah,
here,
maybe-
but I think
no,
it's
that makes
important.
sense. I mean, it would save us time, and if we can rely on the expert to do an inspection once installation's complete, I think we could probably fit that under the amount that
City and RDC.
we're not to exceed by, so. we
So
can
that
add
might be a
to the
follow-up or an addition, especially for the RDC, just to make sure that they've done everything they said they were going to do.
Yes,
And
good
May I-
suggestion.
Might I note, and I don't know, Mr. Otis, if this is a necessity, but I was just talking to Joni. Would this contract need to be amended to show that it's a joint contract between the RDC and the city and Arcos, so that we don't,
Just do a second contract, I think would
With
be,
the RDC,
yes.
so then there's 6,000 each?
with a maximum.
Right, but we're not paying anything right now until they do
Yeah,
work.
we only
correct?
pay for what services. For instance, last year, I think we used a total of $3,300 from Arcos, from a contract. We didn't roll
Right,
it over to the
but
next year. but-
My concern is at budgeting time, we use those outstanding contracts to budget or encumber funds. So if you've got two $6,000 outstanding contracts, we're gonna wanna budget all of those dollars, and then you're tying up dollars that you don't necessarily need, is my point. So if you do, I don't know if they can amend,
But the mayor's also asking that they do additional services that would entail more follow-up fees and costs that could, and I know you said that this is very unlikely to be used up to the 6,000, but now if there's other services for each group,
But if.
what's
the-
realistic?
And we
If
don't,
the
we can't,
majority of the work is being done in the RDC, that still means this number, I mean, do we know, does Arcos usually, have they done work outside a TIF area? Do we know?
I don't have the history.
I
to
would
be
think
able
the
to tell you
majority
that,
of the
but
work is within a
Majority
TIFs.
would be on new developments. The thing that so I would say a majority of the dollars will be RDC dollars.
So can we suggest a reduction in the payment or of the hourly rate basis of $6,000, move it to, say, 4,000?
whatever you're comfortable with, it's your professional
If the
services. I'm
RDC
just
is
saying
then
if that's
going
how
to, because that'll tie up your
It will,
professional
yeah, it
services, and
will.
every penny.
It will.
Yeah, let me take a look at what's been done the last 2 years to determine exactly what RDC, what percentage is RDC, what's non-RDC, and then draft the contract according to that.
Courtney, do you encumber, like Baker Tilly, do you encumber $50,000 then immediately?
We use those outstanding contracts to.
Right, no, I
yeah.
get what you're saying, I'm just
Yeah.
asking, like.
Yeah, we do.
If the contract's for 50 and we've spent 30 and the project's continuing, then we will encumber.
If we know the project's done, then we don't have to encumber that, but if there's gonna be ongoing projects, yeah, we would wanna capture that money, those 2021 funds to spend in 2022, so we're not eating up 2022's budget.
I also
Absolutely.
don't want to delay this because I also know you have projects, so
Can we approve it up to a certain dollar amount
Yeah,
that
we can just amend it.
is, yeah,
Make a motion to amend it to maximum $4,000.
are you comfortable with
I'm
that?
very comfortable with that.
Do I hear a motion?
yes, to amend.
Second, we will move to $4,000 from $6,000. Discussion, hearing none. Before we vote on this, should we also amend Mr. Otis to say not only for pre-approval, but also post-approval of the standards? So that they can go out after?
Oh,
Oh, so that they'll
Yeah,
come up
as,
with
you
and
can
inspect
refer to
after,
as-built inspection, so.
as-built inspection.
As-built inspection.
As-built refers to more building, but that would be the way I would put it.
So we will amend the motion to remove $6,000 for $4,000 and then as-built inspection. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I will second that. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes 2-0. Thank you.
I need that, yeah. I don't have that, so I need that, please.
Tim Werner, Hydrostop.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. What the board has in front of them today is a sales quote from Hydrostop, which is the company that we buy our line stopping equipment from. Just to explain that process a little bit, a line stop is where we go in and actually drill a hole in the main to put a plug in to do an active stop on the line, whether that's to put a new valve on, repair a big leak, or in this case, to give us a secondary machine to be able to do a lot of our valve replacement programs that we've been talking about back since October. We do have one existing line stop machine. It's been in our maintenance department since '83. It only stops from 4 to 8 inch pipe. The one you have in front of you will allow us to do from 4 to 12 with an add-on later to be able to do 16 and 18. The base unit, which is the number 7 on the line item, will be able to handle the 16 and 18 inch valves also. The reason why there's only one quote from it is this is a brand. Hydrostop is a brand. They're only represented by certain companies around us. Our representative for this material will be from Ferguson Waterworks, so that's where I received the quote from. But we contacted Hydrostop for this information. They came in and did a short demonstration for us a couple weeks ago. My guys are familiar with it. It is something we need to move forward with infrastructures that we have planned for the next couple of years. So I'm just asking the board for approval to be able to purchase this equipment. That way we can move forward with our work.
Motion to approve?
I'd comment it'll be very helpful to have that equipment when we do the letters and numbers sewer separation project, because there's a bunch of line stops needed in that project. Otherwise, we'd have to bid them out.
Motion to,
This will allow us to do this work in-house, which will save the city tremendous amounts of money. Not only the water department, but some of the projects Jerry has going on too, where we'll be able to do these line stops in-house.
motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. So do we not have this type of unit, anything like this currently?
Yes, we do. We have one that we've been using since '83. It still works. But what happens is sometimes you have to do a double stop to remove these broken valves. You have to do a stop on either side. We do have another way of doing that. It's through our inserter valve machine. Just for a little reference, the clamp for the line stop for, say, a 6-inch stop is $800. That same clamp to be able to do inserter valve is about $8,000. So this is a lot cheaper process to do. And like I said, my guys are trained on these. We've done a lot of these line stops over the years, putting hydrants in. We just never had the capability to do a double line stop. So that's what we're asking, just be able to have the equipment to be able to do double line stops to replace a lot of the broken valves around town.
If you had to estimate how much time is spent with this piece of, how often do you use it throughout a year?
We use it quite a bit. So any of the older hydrants around town that don't have valves on them at this time, we've used our older equipment to go in, do a line stop, put a valve on, remove that old hydrant. Kind of what the public noticed on Detroit and Jefferson last week. That was a hydrant that wasn't valved, so when it was hit, yeah, big mess. We lost about 2.5 million gallons of water through that leak. So this is just not a process. And I do want to remind the public that this has been in our capital project list for purchasing list for a couple of years. This equipment is not coming out of the rate increase money or the construction bonds. This is coming out of the water department's budget. It has nothing to do with the bonds or the rate increase that we got earlier this year for construction projects.
But because we have 100-year-old infrastructure, would you say that's why we need this?
Yeah, and it's standard equipment for all water departments. We've gotten by just having one. Whenever we've had to do a double line stop, we've called in a contractor. It's very expensive. I know just for, off the top of my head, we did one over on Burrison when we were running that in. It was like $18,000 stop. So as you can see, after a year, we pay for this equipment. And HydroStop's a very good brand of line stopping equipment. Like I said, our old machine has been in use at our department since 1983. We still use it. This is a lot about the equipment that we're trying to purchase right now.
Well, I think this is an excellent move and purchase. So we do have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I just wanted to ask, it states on here that there's gonna be training costs of $4,800. Are you guys gonna need that? Because you said everybody already knows how to use this equipment.
Well, I questioned that myself when I saw it on the quote, but it's standard through HydroStop. Whether we take advantage of the training or not, it's included in the price. It's on there. So my guys are pretty used to doing up to 8-inch. So what we're gonna do to get the most bang out of the training buck, we're gonna put a project on hand when they're here. It'll be out in the field training with guys from HydroStop. So my guys have never done a 12-inch line stop, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get our money out of the training. There's a little bit different process setting up the machine. There's different pieces that have to go on the machine itself to make it capable to do the line stops from 10 and 12-inch. So that's where the training comes in. It's a one-day training with 2 guys from HydroStop that will actually be in the hole with our guys, just making sure they're comfortable using the new style equipment.
Well, I'm sure it'll certify the warranty as well.
That could be
Training,
true.
they usually require that for warranty. So further discussion? Hearing none in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you.
So now we have Sarah Nimitz for her first time in front of Board of Works, so buckle up. Let's have some fun here. Sarah, welcome. Thank you for stepping into this today. And let's discuss the approval for NDOT.
Yes, so Nick just briefed me yesterday on some of this. The NDOT is requesting Board of Works approval to extend Reith Riley's work hours that are for the work that's taking place on Lincoln Way, so it's some signal work and paving. Approving this will just allow Reith Riley to do their signal work during the day and paving in the evening hours. So just an extension of their allowed.
What are the hours now?
I think it ends at 5 p.m. right now, and I believe that this, I don't have what you guys were given,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm sort of winging it, but I believe it's going from 6 to 9. Thank you. Sorry. I believe it's extending it, and usually when NDOT requests this kind of thing, it's based on traffic modeling, so I'm guessing that's why this was the request.
I'll make a motion to approve the change in hours.
Thank you.
Second. Further discussion?
It seems like we would do this pretty much every year.
Well, this is for the actual paving though of Lincoln Way, the work, so we want to encourage, we want to support whatever we can do to help NDOT pave Lincoln Way.
They're extending the hours from 7 PM to 6 AM. So they're being allowed to start operations at 7 PM, the paving. But they'll still be doing signal work during the day.
That seems safer all around anyhow, doesn't it?
I mean, this is the opposite of they're doing it the least, when the traffic is the
Right.
lowest, yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's win-win.
Totally. Good.
And I think they're also doing the crossing walks or crosswalks as well, which is important. They've had bags over the crosswalks, and we'd certainly like to have that updated as well. So, further discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0.
Thank you. And then second, we are requesting a contract for oversight services by USI on all of the surf broadband work. The costs of this will be passed on to the contractor, and they can recoup through Board of Work approval to cut some of the permit costs if they wanted to. This is partially because of some of the water mains they've been hitting. I see Tim nodding, thank you. Just to sort of have somebody on call available, you know, to consult and go on site if necessary. Just helping utilities coordinate when there's issues. They've already paid over 10,000 in permits so far, and there's an anticipated another 10,000. So if they needed to recoup some of this funding, they could come to Board of Works and request. But this is USI for some of that oversight to take that burden off of us a
Do I have a
little bit.
motion to approve?
So moved.
I will second that, but I would also state, with discussion here, I'm not sure we should be giving back some of their permit fees to help reduce the costs
Sure.
to go out and do their job, because, again, I'm very excited about surf broadband and becoming a gig city, but due to the issues of the contractors in the field,
Yeah.
we're having to deal with this, so I would highly discourage.
It would be on them to even attempt, and we wouldn't have to approve it, of course.
I would just say this has to be an additional fee, and I think whatever the contract, it's a large dollar.
Yeah, we'll pass this on to them.
The 50,000 or up to, or is it, it is 50,000?
It's 50,000. I don't see that it's not to exceed.
Okay. To make sure that we're not giving back our fees
I agree.
from the city. So I think that has to,
I'll pass
and that
that
would
on.
come before Board of Works if they did request that. And further discussion, do we
If
have?
I can just comment on that too. The other thing this is gonna help with is coordinating locates. So right now we're getting, anywhere from 50 to 100 locates a day, which is a tremendous amount for my staff and Jerry's staff. We do all of our locating in-house.
Explain that, Tim, if you
Nick,
could.
about this. It will also, the inspector will also coordinate with us daily on where the crews are gonna be. That way we can concentrate on that area to make sure that area is located properly to minimize the damage in the infrastructure.
Tim, explain the locates just from a public perspective, what the process is, what happens.
Whenever you call 811 to dig in your yard, or a contractor has to dig, we are required by law to come out and locate the water line from the house to the main, including the main where the work may be taking place. And when these crews are in a neighborhood, they're calling in blocks or neighborhoods at a time, and there's several crews and companies around town doing this, and it is just overwhelmed my department with locates, and this is huge. We need this inspector on site just to coordinate their contractors along with ours. That way they're not jumping ahead where we haven't located yet. Like I said, just to minimize damage to the existing infrastructure. This also includes a weekly construction meeting with inspector and staff from wastewater, water department, I'm sure engineering, just to address issues as they come up throughout the week. We've had issues with them putting their handholds in front of hydrants. There's just a ton of issues, and it's, as everybody in the public has seen, these guys are everywhere right now, and it is very hard for us to keep an eye on them, basically. So that's why we're interested in hiring an inspector.
But this is a good thing. We like having this.
On this, we got about 400 requests last month. I mean, it's an incredible number of locates.
We're also working with them on some of the tree damage that they've been causing to roots and some of the sidewalk infrastructure. And they're digging down, they're digging down and hitting roots and just like not reporting. So we're finding that after the fact too. So it'll be good to have one person centrally kind of communicating with everybody. And it's on call, so it'll work with their work hours as well.
How long will this, because 50,000, so how long will this typically last for? When you're saying last month you guys had 400 calls?
This agreement is for 2 years with USI, so any issues that they may need to coordinate on.
So 50,000 covers 2 years.
And I would say we have a great partnership with Surf Broadband. We're excited for what they're going to do here, and this is just appropriate for the amount of work that's happening. So thank you. I just hope we have somebody we can trust to do the work as the inspector. I think we probably do. All right, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0. Thank you, Sarah Nimitz.
Thanks, Sarah.
Unfinished business or other business? I know we've had messages, not to put Ms. Leffler on the spot, but spring cleanup, I think we do have a date. May,
Second full week of May 10th through the 14th.
May 10th through the 14th is spring cleanup on your regular day. And I think it'll still be required to protect anything that you're putting out upholstered with a wrap.
Upholstered items must be wrapped, yes.
Upholstered items must be wrapped, but May 10th through the 14th is spring cleanup. Further discussion? Ms. Romine? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I will second that.
Hot mic.
We are adjourned. Wow.
There's the buzzer.